Good off week for us. I think we got time to get rested. Came at a good point in the season. It's always good to have one after a victory, but it's good to have an off week later in the season, in my opinion. Played 8 games. Had some tough games. We got some bumps and bruises. We were able to get relatively healthy. Work on our fundamentals. It's what you do a lot in an open week. Got to get better fundamentally in all 3 phases, I thought. Introduce a base plan for Fresno State. And starting today, we'll have our normal work week for the Fresno State game and have the mindset that we got to play our best game of the year this Saturday against a team, to me, I know they are 1-7, I believe. But has talented football players, have good skill positions, guys that can hurt you on both sides of the field. Know they're going through a coaching change. I thought they played really well against Air Force and had a chance to win that game late. And I expect them to play really well against us, and we're going to have to play our best game, in my opinion. Questions?
How did you feel like the bye week served you best, not just with the injuries, but did you see improvement in areas that you wanted to?
I did. I thought we came out and worked hard. Tuesday, to be honest, was a little bit sluggish, and that's usually how it goes when you give guys a day off on Monday. I did not think it was what we needed to improve. I thought we actually took a step backwards that day, but Wednesday and Thursday I thought were really good practice, honing in on fundamentals things of playing blocks, blocking, and tackling, just playing football and working on ourselves. And we worked hard and we competed. And then now we got to take, what we did last week and carry it forward to this week on our scheme of what we're going to try to do against Fresno in the 3 phases and get better every day.
You had talked about needing to sort of see a little bit what they were going to do with the coaching change to get a feel. Did it look pretty similar to what they were doing, they've been doing prior to it?
Yeah, offensively, looked pretty similar to me of what they've been doing all year. They hit some passes early in the game, but they've thrown it around a lot. Their quarterback has, and been close on making a lot of plays. They made a couple the other night. Defensively, not really going to use that game for what they did defensively because they were playing the option.
With the way Nick's bounced back, how much do you see a younger yourself in him when you talk about when you got benched early in your career for both things?
Well, when you get demoted or you get benched, as you put it, it puts things in perspective and kind of it removes you from that starting position. Now you're in a backup role, and you kind of you see the game from a different perspective, and then I think it allows you to relax a little bit. The pressure's off a little bit when you get demoted. All right, and it's how you approach that. Are you going to go out and feel sorry for yourself and still think I should be the guy? Or are you going to go back and, all right, why was I benched? Let me look at some things. Let me try to improve. And I believe that's what Nick did. He handled it the right way. He's a great teammate, supporting the other guys, but he's also worked really extremely hard to get back to where he wanted to get, and that was to be the starter. He wasn't just a good teammate and then kind of going through the motions. He was a good teammate and was trying to get better at his own craft, and I thought he did.
You mentioned maybe him being more relaxed. Do you see that in the way he's playing or in the fact that he's trusting things, trusting his feet, where his eyes are taking him? And have you seen that in the progressions he's made? If the first option's not open, he seems, at least from the press box, to look smoother and going through his reads.
Well, he definitely did in the last ball game. I thought he was really clued in on what they were trying to do and where the answers were if they took away the first progression. And he made quick, decisive decisions. And you could see that with his feet and how quick the ball was coming out. And that's where he should be, second year in this offense, of understanding what we're trying to do and just trusting himself and making the right decision.
Do you see that, like you talked about after the game? I mean, the passes are spread out. Do you like the fact that that's what that will lead to? Is that maybe
well, it allows us not to have to guess 100% right every time on a play call. if I'd like to call things that have options based off 2 high, 1 high, no high, blitz, and there's answers built in on the plays. And that's when you can be most effective, where your quarterback knows the answers and knows how to get to those answers. And Nick was able to do that in the last football game.
How much, you talked about some injuries, type things, getting a chance to heal. Were there some guys that made significant strides to be able to get back maybe, or Tyree?
Well, Tyree might have been questionable. If we'd have had a game last week, is one guy. Running backs are always a little bit banged up after 8 games in the season. Nobody would have missed, but it allowed them to get healthy. Linemen all have bumps and bruises. They've got shoulders and ankles, and those guys were able to, I think, get healthy. And then just mentally, a break from the grind of the same routine and having a game and having that, basically, working extremely hard all week and then having to go do that on Saturday. It takes a toll on you. So to have that mental break of having a week off to get healed up, to focus on the fundamentals, to get on track academically, just take a step back and refocus, for the month of November. And, I think that's what we did last we refocused, and we've got 4 games left. We want to put ourselves in a position to play in the postseason, and we've talked about that, how we want to finish the year, and we got to finish it the right way by having a good week this week of practice. If we have a good week of practice, then we ought to expect to play well on Saturday. Nobody's going to hand us a ball game, so we talked about those things of how we want to finish and what we're capable of doing, and we need to be a consistent football team from here on out.
Against UNLV, you had a pretty balanced number of carries with Izzy, Dalen, and Marvin. Is that something that you want to see going forward, or was that more just a product of kind of what you saw in that game?
No, I'd like to see it balanced. I really would. I think all 3 bring a different dynamic to our run game, but I'm still not opposed if one guy's really, we feel like he's feeling it and running the way we want to run, for him getting the most carries that game. It's not set in stone where Izzy's getting 15, Dalen's 10. We're not charting it like that. We wanted to get Marvin a few more touches in this last game. He hadn't gotten as many touches because he had, two fumbles that were critical fumbles in ball games. But at the same time, we don't want, say, hey, he can't touch the ball again. He's got to show us in practice that he can carry it, and he did. But when he gets in the open field, you see he's got the ability to take it to the house. So we'll probably see as much of Marvin as we did last week, or maybe a little bit more. But it's how the game goes and the style of runs that we're running too.
Go ahead, Kel.
I just wanted to ask you, is it a sign of something that he's doing wrong, or of what the guys behind him, Sean Johnson and others, have been doing well? How Ngani and Jordan Bates slipped down on the depth chart at corner?
Well, it's just production. It's production and ability to make plays, and these guys are producing in some areas that you haven't seen has been practice. Guys being competitive and guys making plays in practice. So let's give them an opportunity in the games, and two young guys that are competing extremely hard in practice. And let's be honest, we haven't been stellar in pass defense, and people are completing a high percentage of passes on us, and so. We're going to give some guys that are making some plays in practice an opportunity to see if they can make some plays in games.
With your receivers, if you like the competition there, because you've had, it seemed like a flux on your depth chart. Like Elroy made some big plays early, haven't seen much of him later, at least not in terms of targets. Is that a product of the competition there too? Guys developing or guys being hurt?
No, Elroy has not been hurt. I think it's just of competition at practice, guys making plays, who we feel that when they're out there, they've got a chance to make an explosive play, and who is consistently catching the ball in the right spot at the right time, running the correct routes. And the guys that have been playing the most lately are the guys that we feel are the most consistent and have the most explosive playmaking ability. And and we got one guy at receiver that's the explosive playmaker right now, number 4.
When you look at the makeup of that position, is that the group that has maybe one of the biggest areas of development that can be made, the biggest leaps in development that can be made, considering Hawkins is young, Dietrich's still learning how to be a receiver?
Yeah, I think, yeah,
Collins
I think you've seen the progression throughout the year of getting better. Michael getting better, becoming a complete receiver. Dietrich doing a couple different things other than he did early in the year. And Dietrich's learning. Dietrich's getting better as a receiver every day. He's in on some more stuff other than jet sweeps. And then Hawkins is a guy that I feel like is one of our most explosive players. He runs with good pad level. He's a physical football player. He's got short area quickness, and he's got long speed. His issue is consistently catching the football. If he was to consistently catch the football, he'd be playing a lot more snaps than he has this year. But those guys have done a tremendous job of improving. BC is another guy that's been dependable for us. I know he had one drop, but that happens at times. But we're running the right routes, the right depth, quarterback trusting where he's going to be. He has been a dependable guy for us.
Could you have him back this week?
There's an outside chance that he will play. We'll know better after Tuesday and Wednesday's practice. He won't do much today. He'll just run routes.
Speaking of progression for Michael and for Nick, both in this offense, was it a positive sign for you on that last touchdown, the back shoulder, that they were on the same page for them to be able to?
Yeah, we've thrown several takeoffs or deep balls where we have not been on the same page, starting from game one versus CU to the game before that against Boise on a takeoff in the first quarter, where we just ran the route different than the way we thought we were going to run it at quarterback. It was something. All the coaches out on the road recruiting Friday night, and I had the quarterbacks and receivers, and a 20-minute meeting went almost an hour, and it was all about the deep ball and us giving our guy a chance and throwing it to him. And Nick, after he threw the touchdown, he kind of made a smart aleck comment. Did I throw it to him on that one? I say, yeah, you gave him a chance, and that's what happens. You see so many deep balls completed, week in and week out when you watch TV of when guys just throw it to the receivers. You rarely see the deep ball where the guy runs by him and he hits him in stride. I mean, it's a back shoulder, it's a underthrown ball, it's giving a guy a chance to make a play, and the receiver setting the line properly, not just the quarterback. I thought he set the line properly. I thought Nick sided it up, and he threw it to the guy, which, one-on-one, and he's not looking. You have the advantage if the quarterback and receiver on the same page. And I thought they were there, and it was a result of us finally getting it right. And it's a low percentage throw, but if you give them a chance, you've got a chance to make the play. We haven't given the guy a lot of chances to make the play by either the route he ran or the ball that we threw.
But does that give you hope moving forward?
Yeah, yes. We're getting closer to where we want to be on the same page, and on the post throws, we threw one behind him, and then we completed one, and then hit a deep ball to him. So, I think Michael's understanding how to run routes. Quarterbacks are getting on the same page of how he runs it, and it's all receivers are different when you're throwing at different guys. Some guys are straight speed guys that you better throw down the field because they're going to just run and not be able to adjust. And some guys are the bigger guys, and then at the receiver, you got to know who's playing quarterback too, because there's an area you look. There's a point you look. Do I look 10 yards down the field, or do I look 15, depending on who the quarterback is and what kind of ball he throws. And we've had to work through all that with, 3 different quarterbacks and a lot of different receivers playing.
You talked about the bye week being good for your team at this point of the year currently. How's it for possibly your future team in terms of going out the road recruiting, having a chance to see some of these guys you might be interested in late, talk to them later in the season than as opposed to earlier?
Well, we can't talk to them out right now on the road. It's evaluation and watching them practice or watching them play a football game, and then gathering academic information and gathering character information from people other than their coaches when you go out. It's more of an evaluation of, all right, we like this guy on tape, and let's go find out more about him other than us just talking to him on the phone or FaceTime. But it's, anytime you get out, you get a chance to cross-reference or cross-check who you're recruiting. It's always good. you know.
Is there a bonus to it later in the year that you've seen them develop maybe a little?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I think at a place like at
Yeah.
Colorado State, most definitely, because, you know, your recruiting board changes dramatically all the time of who you're recruiting and when they get offers. We do have early offers, but that changes. You're constantly evaluating more people, so to get out later, and, you know, we find a lot of guys that have the great senior years that, you know, maybe we're guys that coaches tell you they're going to have a chance going into their senior year, but some of the bigger schools have moved on because they've, you know, already offered and got all these commitments, and we're able to evaluate them through their senior year and then go see them late. So it is a bonus.
Along the lines of recruiting, you recruit a lot of players from right around Fresno, that area, Central Valley, California. How big is a game against a team from there when you're doing that, or does it matter? Is it more when you're there as opposed to?
Well, I thought it was a big deal for our players last year. We had a big showing of families that came to the game, and any time you're a player and you get a chance to play in front of your family and your loved ones, I think it's important to them. And I'm sure they'll have a bunch of family come to this game. I haven't talked to our guys about it from that area, but I know they were excited last year when we played at Fresno. And the guys' families got to see them play.
You mentioned that the bye week came at a good time for you guys to get healthy, but on the flip side, you guys have had a lot of momentum coming off the last 2 games. How do you ensure that carries over into this week without at all?
Leadership of your football team, starting with me, of setting the tone in today's meetings, in today's practice, that anything less than a championship practice is not acceptable. And we don't accept it. And I'd rather it come from the players than from me. If it's coming from the players, then we've got a chance to finish strong. If it's coming from us, it'll be a fight. So we'll find out today, you know, what kind of mindset we have as a football team when we approach today's practice. Can't just go through the motions. And this is the time of the year where you played 8 games. You know, it's a grind. You know, and the mentally tough guys are the ones that are going to push through and have success late in the season. And that's what I expect out of this football team. But the leaders on this football team have got to set that tone, and it can't just be me and the coaches.
If you've had some new guys step up as leaders, that was kind of an issue at the beginning of the season. You had some guys that kind of, or has it been the same people, just maybe?
Well, you know, I don't
leaders?
think you have to have, you know, 25 leaders. I think you've got to have the right guys that have influence that are your leaders. I mean, I could sit here and say, hey, this guy's the captain, he's the leader, but if he don't have influence and nobody listens to him, it really doesn't matter. So the guys that the team listens to and has influence need to have the same values you do and what you want done as a coach. And Nolan Peralta and Jake Bennett are 2 of the guys that have been consistent leaders for us, the way they approach practice and the way they give everything they got every week. Kevin Davis has been that defensively. Jake Slager. The new one that has emerged to me is Evan Colorado. You know, would be a guy that, you know, has kind of grown in that role. You know, he's a hard-nosed, blue-collar guy, plays a lot of snaps for us and plays physical every snap, gives everything he's got for the team, unselfish player. And then, you know, the quarterback, in my opinion. You know, he gained the team's respect of how he handled the situation when he was demoted, how he kept working, how he improved, and when his time came again, he was ready for this football team. And he's become more vocal since he became more vocal the day he wasn't the guy, you know, which is kind of ironic to me a little bit. You know, it's what I want him to be, because you've got to be the leader in that position and speak up. But, you know, maybe stepping back allowed him to say, all right, I got to speak up and take over this football team. And he did a good job when he was out, and he's doing a good job now.
You touched on it a little bit, but is the mental aspect of maybe not focusing on another team, but being able to take that step back mentally just as important as the physical rest, the training room stuff that you got in?
Yeah, there's no question. Just being able to step back mentally and have a break and kind of regroup and see where you're at, where we're going to go. and just a mental break from the daily coach on your butt every day. It's more spring practice type atmosphere at practice. It's a chance to get better, but it's just the mental of trying to learn a whole game plan. It's less on them. So I think it definitely, and we'll see, but we got to have the right makeup this week going forward, though.
I was going to say, is the key to that how they come back and snap back into place?
Yeah.
And get ready for that game and focus.
That's the key. We got to get back mentally. We're in a game week mode. The bye week's over. We got to sit around, watch everybody else play. Some win, some lose. Now it's our week to go back to work. And what do we want to be at 4:30 or 5 o'clock on Saturday? What do you want to be? You want to be 1-0 on the week? If that's what you want, then we better go to work this week.
Like you talked a little bit about, obviously it's a goal for teams to play the postseason. How do you kind of balance that with them not focusing too much on that? Because you said before, you got to worry about winning this week.
Right.
You gotta worry about, we got to win 2 of our last 4 or 3 of
Well,
our
everybody knows we got to win 2 of our last 4. I mean, we want to win 4 of our last 4. That's what we want to do. All right, but the main thing we want to do is beat Fresno November 5th, and the way we do that is having a great week. And you keep reiterating as a head coach, the position coach, keep talking about how we're going to win this football game, what we've got to do, how we've got to play, and then that carries over to your players and how they practice. They know we got to win 6 games to go to bowl, but it's something that I don't talk about as a head coach. It's something that we don't talk about as assistants. We talk about bringing a championship mindset and attitude to every practice. That's how you build a consistent program, is by doing it that way week in and week out, win or lose. And that's out there. They're going to talk about it. Y'all are going to ask them about it. But I would hope that the guys would have the mindset of they're focused on this week and we want to play well this week. And the way we do that is by earning it in practice.
What does Nolan bring to this football team? I mean, he had his first touchdown catch this year, but he's not really in that glamour role. He's filling in a fullback when he needs to. I mean, primarily blocking tight end. I mean, what does he bring to this football team?
He brings an element of toughness to this football team. I'm an unselfish player, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to help this football team win. And whether it's practice or a game, I'm going 100%. And and that's not a lot. That's not exaggerations. Every play, he goes 100%. Every play, he's trying to do his job and dominate his opponent, the guy in front of him. And if he doesn't do it right, he's upset at himself, and he holds himself to a high standard. And it's a great example for everybody on this football team of how you approach every single day.
How much football did you watch this weekend?
I watched a lot.
Yeah.
I watched a lot. I got to went to a high school game. Thursday was Cal. Was that Thursday night? Cal USC. Watched that one. Then Friday went to a high school game. Got back in time to watch the second half of Fresno Air Force. Watched a little bit of Coach Summers' game. That was Thursday night, too. I got home at the second half of that game against App State. Saturday, I got to watch Jake Bobo win the championship for the Windsor Wizards. He had a sack fumble the first play on the quarterback, caused like 2 fumbles. He was killing people at tight end. He did a nice job. He was excited. That was at 11 our time. Then I went home, and my wife made chili and sat down and watched about as many games as I could flip back and forth and watch.
Do you get to be a fan, or do you watch as a coach?
I watch as a coach and then watch a little bit as a fan. I probably was a little bit of a fan watching my alma mater. I was cheering for them. Other than that, I'm a coach.
you got going when you're watching games? Just one flipping a lot, or you got multiple?
There's one inside, and then I bring one outside where my grill is. You got to sit outside in this weather out here in Colorado. It's beautiful, and kind of walk back and forth. And then you got to have your previous button on the right channel to flip back and forth. But it's hard to keep up. There's so many games on TV now.
More sophisticated than none of us that just use the.
No, I'm flipping back and
We got 2
forth,
games.
and then I'll have my phone.
If you gotta get to a third, it's
I have my phone sometimes that has the Watch ESPN app or Watch a Game, which that little bit dangerous when I had it on, trying to watch Fresno Air Force on the way back from Denver Friday night. But